a mum said to me a phrase that actually loads and loads of mums say to me, and that's why I'm doing the video about it. And it's along the lines of, I'm a bad mum, I'm doing something wrong. I tell them something, oh my God, I thought it was my fault. So blaming yourself, thinking you're doing something wrong. And it's one of the most frustrating things, because it just highlights for me that the information I have for you can be really helpful to you as just information, just telling you something about your baby that lets you know you are not doing anything wrong. You're doing your best. Of course you are, because you're the mum, so you know how to help your baby. You know how to do the hugs and the kisses and things. But there's just things that have happened that have triggered circumstances, triggered things that make your baby hard, a bit tricky. And those are the things that you don't know because you're not being told, which is such a shame. This course of mine would be ideal to listen to have before you have your baby, so you know what happens, the triggers for colic and reflux. If you knew that before, that would be amazing, because then you would understand better. However, when you're pregnant, you're just thinking and probably a bit worried about the delivery and things, so you know that's fair enough. However, there's so much information in my course and the ebooks and things, just to reassure you that you're doing absolutely fantastic, and that the things that you're not to blame for anything. So that's a big one. Oh, I'm doing something wrong, says the mum. And then the other big controversial topic would be breastfeeding. So let's take the two, this as one of the worst ones, isn't it? That, oh, I couldn't breastfeed very well, so we had to stop, you know, I feel awful and all that kind of stuff. Or even mum saying, you know, my boob doesn't work, my boobs don't work, or one of them doesn't work. Also just not true. You're not given the information. Okay, so the delivery, which I go on about all the time, the baby's tummy, which I go on about all the time, they make your baby upset. Something to do with that. Your baby's upset. They don't feed well when they're upset, when they got wind, when they got colic, when they got reflux. They don't feed well. Not your boobs not working, not you not being a good mum, not you being able to not calm them because they're screaming. They're screaming with wind pain, not anything you've done. So, for example, let's say your baby got stuck in the birth canal, or they were sitting low for the end of the pregnancy. Then they got stuck. Then they had to have forceps or Von-2s, or they had a traumatic delivery. They're tight, they're tense. You probably got a little meerkat baby, which I go on about in all my videos, so have a look. But meerkat baby is these babies that are up and stiff, and they're on your shoulder, and they've got a strong neck like this, and they're pushing away. They're really hard to breastfeed because they are pulling away from you all the time. They want to go this way. They're the tricky ones to hold when the baby's, like, you don't want to give them to someone else to hold, or if you do, you're like, can you hold on to them, because they want to fly out your hands. Okay, so you're then trying to breastfeed and you're told to bring them in, snuggle them in, tummy to the tummy, and then you've got this baby that's going away from you. Okay, the feeding can be awful. You can be in pain, the latch is bad, and then you're blaming yourself, thinking you're not very good at breastfeeding. How can you breastfeed a baby that's pulling away like this, always wants to go away from you? Very hard to breastfeed. They say a planned C-section baby, the opposite. No delivery, but they've just come out. They are ratty. They're in a ball. They're a little frog baby. They don't like being stretched out like this. They're jumpy and ratty. They love to suck, like suck, suck, suck. Not hungry, suck, suck, suck to calm. So they're hard to breastfeed because they're on you the whole time. Suck, suck, suck. Then you're sore. Then you think you're not doing it wrong. Right, you think you're not giving them enough milk because they're hungry again half an hour later. So you're worried about how much milk you're giving them. They're not hungry, they're just sucky. They want to suck. And they're in this little ball. So they're hard to get in a position. Their head might be turned in one direction like this because it hasn't been straightened out through the birth canal. So their head's facing in one direction like this. So they'll only feed on one side well, and they won't like the other side. How's that your fault? That's nothing to do with your breastfeeding technique. If your baby's had a load of antibiotics and then you haven't been told that your baby will have an upset tummy now, so information, you could have just been told that. You haven't been told that that gives them an upset tummy. You haven't been told how to help that, which is the main part of the course. And then you have a baby that's screaming all the time with colic and wind, and because they're upset, they want to suck, and because they're upset, they want to be held all the time, and they're not sleeping and they're not settling. So you think you're not very good at settling them. How's that your fault either? A circumstance happened that triggered colic and wind in your baby. Again, that's nothing to do with you. So much of this course is about information, an understanding for you, so you can go through the course and go, yep, that happened to my baby, that happened at delivery, and that is why my baby is like this. That is why my baby is stiff. That's why my baby's in like a little scrunched up ball. That's why my baby poos 10 times a day. That's why my baby poos only once every 5 days. Reasons which you can then help, but information so you understand that it's not your fault. Things have happened that have done that, and then we go in and then we fix that. But I know that when I explain and tell this to mums, they are really relieved to know that it's not their fault. So mums always go, I thought it was my fault, but now I know, so now I feel better. So I'm really sort of passionate about this. I hope lots of people watch this video, because it would be something that I would love to get around the whole world to all the mums, so you just know that it's not your fault. There's these other triggers, they can be fixed, so you can get a happy baby. So that's a great thing, but also knowledge, the understanding and the truth about why your baby is affected like that. So I hope this helps, and have a look at all my stuff on colic.com. You can message me, DM me, Facebook, Instagram, email, have a look at the courses, all the books and all the information, and I'll all be available here for help. Okay, thank you.